Welcome to episode 9 of the Gratitude for Time podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to talk with people of power, wealth, and influence about how they value time. So today my guest is the president of D7 Roofing, Jeff Williamson. Thank you for your time today.
Well, you're welcome.
So before I turn it over to you, to have you share your life story, I kind of want to help contextualize and highlight your success as someone of incredibly rare wealth. And I'll do that in relation to myself. So on most days when I see you at Pete's Coffee in the morning, I would say you've got more cars in your garage than I've got dollars in my bank account. So that's one way to kind of like highlight just the gap here in a good way, in a positive way.
The cars are definitely a bad habit, that's for sure. That's for sure.
But really what I'm trying to get at is that you've achieved your dreams, and as you said, and then some. Mm-hmm. And really, financially speaking, probably the dreams of millions and billions of humans that have lived on this planet. Every day when you wake up, you're living a dream that you had once in the past. Given all of that success and that dream living, I think you'd be the first to admit you are not a perfect human.
Not even close. Not even close.
And that you've had a lot of help along the way.
Absolutely, yes.
And that leads me to a quality that you possess that I highly respect, and that is self-awareness.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to hear how you share your story here. I want to turn it back over to you and allow you to walk us through your timeline and story. So if you don't mind, starting from when and where you were born.
Los Gatos, Bay Area, 1969. So I'm 55 years old and lived there in the Bay Area, Sunnyvale area for, through 6th grade. Family moved to Clear Lake, Lake County, about 100 miles from here, and attended junior high and high school there. And then right after high school graduation, moved to Sacramento for a short bit. And then a job situation in construction moved me down to San Francisco. So I was down there working until 1989 earthquake.
You were there when that occurred?
I was, yeah. I was working in the Bay Area during that, and but I was working on a federal project, federal building, doing insulation, and the general superintendent came to me and said, "Hey, the big boss wants to talk to you." So I went to him as instructed and said, "Yeah, hey, what's going on?" And he said, "Well, there's been a lot of damage for the earthquake and everything, and we're going to do a job down in Santa Cruz, the old jail." And he said that they wanted to start a roofing crew, and he had heard through others that I had some roofing experience, and he wanted me to be the foreman. I said, "Well, I do have a little experience, but it's like in high school and here and there, but I wouldn't consider myself a roofing foreman." So I said, "Well, it sounds interesting." And he said, "Well, did I mention that it pays $23 an hour?" And in 1989,
yeah, I was going to ask.
$23 an hour isn't like $23 an hour today. That was real money.
Yep. What were you making before that?
$7.75 or something like that. Yeah, $7.75 or $8.
So when you're offered 23, that
your
eyes wide open.
That was huge. It was huge. So I was like, wow. And I said, well, but why me? Because I'm not really, the experience I think that you're looking for. And he said, well, you show up every day and you're not on meth. So I was well, both true, it was both true. And I said, wow, so what do I have to do? And he said, well, cut your hair and be at this address Monday, at 6:30.
He told you to cut your hair?
Yeah, my hair was pretty long at the time. Wow. So I said, hey, for $23 an hour, that's on. Let's do it. Hair schmear, right? Cut it. I showed up in Santa Cruz at the jail, and there was a group of Mexican roofers, and we introduced ourselves, and the big boss said, this is your boss, and I took the owner, the manufacturer's binder, roofing binder, and it had the installation instructions for all the different roofing, specifications.
Oh, so you've literally not done this before?
I had not, no. And so they had all the different roof types and everything, and I would read it, and then I would ask one of the older Mexican guys. I would say, "Hey, what do we do next?" And he'd say, "Well, this is what you need to do next." And I said, "Okay, tell the guys that's what I want them to do." And then I would be studying, and I'd study them. I'd watch them do it, and then I would study the manual. And so I started to learn that. And truth be told, they deserve to be the foreman, not me. Yeah. But they didn't speak very good English, and they didn't probably have the presentation that the company was looking for, and the interaction with others. So that's how I had started out. And
how were you able to communicate? Was the language barrier there? How did you figure that out?
Well, I had been in construction for a bit, and so you get to a point where their broken English and my broken Spanish. We had enough common ground there, and also there's enough construction slang, let's call it that. Where that's how you're communicating. I wouldn't say we're having these deep conversations, but we were able to communicate well enough. And
spiritual conversation.
Yeah, and we worked very closely together, and they fortunately, knock on wood, that crew stuck with me, and I treated them well, and they and I learned a lot from them, and then I quickly surpassed them in knowledge, because I would learn not only the boots on the roof side of it, but I was learning the engineering part of it. I was learning the science behind it. I was learning a lot of other things.
What was the motivation for all of that learning, extra learning? Because no one told you, I'm sure, to...
No, but, I think, Suresh, you know me enough by now, probably over this time that you and I have known each other, and all the mornings at coffee and such. My ego doesn't allow me to be so at anything, really. It doesn't. I either need to be very, very good at it, or one of the best at it, or I'll just either not do it or stay away from it, or just say no thank you. But I don't have whatever that is to just be okay at a lot of things. I'm good at a few things, but the few things I'm good at, I'm very good at. And there's a lot of things I'm not good at, and I just don't I just don't participate in them, or I don't really have much to do with them.
Well, that to me is the self-awareness aspect, the really know yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's basically why. So I felt like to be a highly competent, highly skilled managerial type person, which I wasn't at the time, I felt like I needed to do that, and I needed to have a high level understanding. And it was something that I always thought to myself, ask myself basically, what would that look like, or what do I respect in leadership, and what do I respect in people that are much higher ranking. And oftentimes it's somebody that has a real command of whatever they do, and I've always respected, and still to this day respect that. And it's one of those things where it's like a when you see it kind of thing. You might not be able to articulate it, but you know it when you see it. And
Clay's a great example of that.
Oh yeah, and so that's kind of was always in the back of my head. So that's why I pushed myself to learn and really try and know more and be better than the people around me at it. And it wasn't just because people weren't asking me to do that. It was something that I just felt was necessary. Especially if I was going to lead these guys, I felt like I needed to deserve it, probably. I think that's probably be deserving of that, leadership role that quite frankly I didn't earn. I mean, I was put in that position for several reasons, and some of which probably weren't fair to the other guys. And I don't know, I just kind of thought, you know, you may not deserve it now, but work to deserve it.
Yep.
You know, elevate to that. And that's what, that's what I did, I think.
You'd already met your now wife by then, right?
Yeah, we went to high school together.
Yep.
Yeah, we were in high school. We started dating in '87, our senior year.
Okay. Wow. So 2 years before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 1989, what do you do? You're in San Francisco. You've got your relationship with your wife.
Mm-hmm.
How do things progress from there?
She lived in Sacramento. She was going to Sac State, and I was working down in the Bay Area during the week, and I'd spend weekends up here. And
Wow.
Then a couple job openings came available here, and I actually ended up getting tired of living out of a hotel. So I actually ended up selling shoes at Nordstrom and women's shoes, and I did that.
You sold women's shoes.
I sold women's shoes at Nordstrom, and then I did that first, like a holiday season, and then I
What'd you learn selling women's shoes?
You know, I didn't really learn a whole lot, but it was more, I think, more hustle related than I would say. It was less sales and more hustle. So if you were able to take on 2 or 3 or 4, you know, women at once, you know, and just run a little faster and get the shoes, and then, you know, you could make a you know, pretty nice living doing it. But it really was, I mean, you know, look, let's face it, you know, women's shoes sell themselves. I mean, you know, and that's not hard, you know, to do. But it just took a lot of hustle. And so after that, then I ended up going to, after the holiday season, I ended up going to Ethan Allen. I started selling furniture there. And one of the guys I worked with left and went to go work for a local roofing company here, commercial roofing company. He called me up after a few months and said, hey, we need a salesman, and you're a good salesman. He goes, I've been around you, and you're a good salesman. I think you could do this. And I liked him. He was a good guy, and I enjoyed working with him. And I kind of respected what he said, and I said, well, you know, who am I working with? And he goes, well, it's a family-owned company, but you'll really work next to me. I'll be the estimator. You can be the salesman. So I went over there, and I didn't really have any roofing sales experience, but the owner gave me it was in a trailer, basically a job trailer, and he had a phone and a desk. Well, actually, it was a table. It was a table with a phone and a phone book. I said, all right,
Wow.
start selling. And so I just started, you know, looking through the phone book, and I started calling, you know, and started calling buildings and, you know, just commercial businesses and
Anybody that would need a roof?
Yeah, I think, you know, I mainly targeted, after like a week of frustration, I started targeting apartment complexes. And I really started getting the best response from them, you know. And I was able to, you know, set up appointments for my friend Glenn, who was the estimator. And I would go out there with him, and you know, I kind of watched him, and he taught me the estimating side, you know, of roofing and such. So yeah, that's what I really focused on was in roofing, called multifamily, basically, you know, but in the multifamily world, but is apartments. So I did that, and it worked out. You know, it started to build on itself. And it really kind of, I started to get, you know, some good contacts and get with management companies, property management companies, and property owners and things like that. And I started to, you know, get to know these people, and then I got access to portfolios, and it kind of built from there. So that was.
So at some point you kind of realized you had everything to kind of go out on your own.
No, I wish it was that calculated. It was more, I wasn't making very good money, and it was a family company. I didn't really like the owner very much. Him and his sons were very difficult to work with and work for. And I knew I wasn't going to be there forever. So I was roofing houses on the weekends, and I was buying equipment and storing it at a barn in Rio Linda. We'd store it there. A little farmer let us store stuff, equipment. And I was building slowly to get enough equipment, to start my own thing at some point. And, one day he called me in, and he started chewing my butt for something, and I thought he was out of line, and I just said, okay, you know what? I'm giving my 2 weeks notice. Yep. Today's the day. So we're done. And he lectured me more about a bunch of things, and it was a bunch of nonsense, and then we both just decided to wrap it up right then. Yep. So that's pretty much was the end of that. Mm-hmm. That was Friday morning. So I didn't have anything else to do. So I go down, I pull my business license in the morning. I do that right afterwards. Wow. And then I have the rest of the day free. All my friends are working and everything. So I go to West Sacramento and I go golfing at this it used to be called Lighthouse, but I'm golfing out there. And then I get a call from a guy who used to work underneath me. He was one of our foremen. He said, hey, where you at? I went to your office, and your office is all cleaned out. What's going on? I said, hey, man, I quit. I can't take it there anymore. So he says, okay, I got to go. Hangs up the phone. Calls me back and says, like 45 minutes later or so, said, okay, where are we going? And I was like, what did you say? And he said, hey, I'm not working here without you. I quit. Wow. And he had 5 kids. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I didn't really know what to say. I'm like, okay, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. So I hang up, run home, jump in the shower, put clothes, put some work clothes on. And this is like Friday afternoon. Mm-hmm. So there was a guy that I had known that he had a company that was building modular homes and such, and also portable classrooms. And wow. At the time, a law was passed where K through I think 3rd grade, I think it was like 20. The maximum class size was like 20 kids, and a lot of school districts couldn't meet that requirement. They didn't have the structures for it and classrooms for it. So the answer for them was to go out and buy a bunch of portable classrooms. So in Rancho Cordova over here, there was this company that built them. And I knew the guy, and I tried to get his business before, but he didn't like my boss, who wasn't going to use us. And he was very honest with me. He said, I like you a lot, but I don't like your boss, so we're not doing it. I don't like the way your boss acts and treats people, and not doing it. So I went over there and I said, hey, is there any chance that, I could do some roofing for you? Because I don't know if you've gotten a roofer yet. And he goes, no, I've tried a few guys out, but I'm not happy with them. And I said, hey, this is my situation. I just left the other company and, the one you didn't like, but I'm starting my own company. Could I do some work for you? And he had said, all right, I'll try you out. I'll give you 10 of them. Wow. Which was like awesome because and we had none. We had zero. We had zero. We had no business or nothing, and I had a partner basically that had 5 kids and no job. Yep. And so it was stressful,
And so, the workers too, right? That came.
Well, we knew 2 guys that that had already quit that were quit for other reasons, and we could call them, and so I had 2 guys that would help us. So I set it up for that Monday, and we're going to work nights. We're going to work 4 to midnight.
Wow! So within that same day, quitting golfing.
Well, because I had to, because he had 5 kids. And so I wouldn't have done that. I would have taken my own time and I would have said, okay, let's ease into it and all that. But after that call, I felt like, oh my God, this guy's got kids. And so I started panic for him. I was more worried than he was. So why that is, I don't know, but it just was. So
that's I guess that sense of leadership, and because leadership doesn't come just the title, but the responsibility, the accountability.
Yeah.
And it's not as I'm sure you know, it's not just, again, about the title, but just how you behave, how you act, the way you, I guess, present yourself and carry yourself day to day.
Yeah, it's hard to say, you know, but
I mean,
you know,
it was the seed of it to bloom.
You know, yeah, I was worried for him and I was scared for him. I was slightly worried for myself, but I was really worried for him. And I thought, wow, anybody that has that much faith in me, I just can't like let that person down. So I was like, oh wow, I just got to do something now. So that was Friday. So we start Monday evening, working 4 to midnight, and they would build them during the day. Then they'd put them in the parking lot, and we would roof them at night, you know, 4 to midnight. And then we had this daisy chain. So it took us about, I don't know, maybe a little over a week or 2, and we roofed the 10 of them. Oh, but before that I said, hey, I can do this, but I need to be paid every Friday. I don't have any money, really. And the guy said, okay, I think we can do that for you. Thank God for him, because he was a great guy, and he was really, you know, back originally when you said, you know, you've had help and everything like that. Well, yes, I mean, that's a prime example of a guy that was very helpful to me in the very beginning, who didn't have to be. So he agreed to pay every Friday. So we do this, we do the 10. And after the 10, I come to him and I said, so how'd it go? What'd you think? And he said, no, you guys did a great job. And he goes, all right, let's do the next phase. I'll try you out on some more. And I said, oh man, that'd be awesome. So I go, is it gonna be 10 more? He goes, no, we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go more than that. And I was thinking, okay, I was thinking like 20 or 30, something like that. And I was like, okay, well, let me know what you need, because we're here for you. And he goes, all right, phase 2 is 600.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow. And I was like thrilled, but at the same time, I was like, oh man, that's a lot. He said, can you handle it? And I said, as long as you can still pay me every Friday, at least for a while, then yes, I can. So we did, and he paid me every Friday, and it just kind of.
How long did that 600 take?
I think we were on that for probably a year, you know.
Wow.
But what was great about it is as that crew was doing that, I was out selling other roofs, and then I brought on a second crew. And then I would do other roofs other than what they were doing. And then we made that crew larger also that was doing those. So it was really, it was actually a great thing to have that in your back pocket, that consistent work, you know, for that. But I want to say it was probably, I don't know, at least 8 months to a year or something. I don't remember exactly all what it took, but yeah, it was pretty great, you know, to have that stability and have that amount of work, you know, in your back pocket, and be able to, you know, kind of springboard from there, you know, and also have the financial stability of them paying me every Friday. So yeah, that worked out really well, and I was able to, you know, build from there and you know, have a second crew and that type of thing. So yeah, it was very. It was hugely impactful, you know. So, yeah. So there you have it.
Okay. Does that lead us to the present moment, you would say?
Well,
then you can add the events of having your children in there, and as well as that, you know.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely. I mean,
does it have to be all
that? No, that's a big part of my life story for sure, and continues to be. But I think one of the moments that was probably hugely impactful, and I wasn't sure I was going to say this story, but I think it would be incomplete if I didn't at least mention it at some point. My first week in business, my old boss sued me, right? He served me in papers for $250,000. Yeah. And that scared me, like, to my core. I'd never been sued before. I didn't know what to do or anything. So I call a friend whose brother-in-law is a big attorney in town, and his brother-in-law says, hey, I don't do that kind of law, but a buddy of mine does, and he's got a smaller practice, and it'd probably be a good fit. So I go to, I set up an appointment. I have a couple $1,000 for a retainer, and I sit in the guy's waiting room lobby here, and I'm just spinning, man. I'm thinking, $250,000. Oh my God. I mean, I'm done. My grandkids are done. I mean, we're never going to recover from this, right? Even though I thought I was right, I thought the lawsuit was BS, but I just thought, wow, I'll never be able to,
overcome it.
Yeah, overcome it, exactly. And so I'm sitting there, and then the attorney walks down the hallway to come greet me, and I look up, and I see this attorney in a real nice suit, nice tie, pocket square, and all that, just really, dialed in, and he's got this purple, black, green, and red black eye. I mean, swollen like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
And right then I was like, it's going to be okay. This is my guy. That is my guy. that is my guy right there. That's that whole combo right there. I just right then felt relieved. Like, we're good. Yeah. We're going to be good. So.
Did he mention what the black eye was about?
I touched on a little bit. Probably a personal thing for him, but nonetheless, it was like a real deal black eye.
Oh, yeah.
So that during the time that I'm roofing these portable classrooms, we were essentially fighting this lawsuit too, and we have depositions and we have all this stuff, and we end up clearly winning, and it's very obvious. So my old employer's attorney wants to have a meeting and he advises his, side that, listen, let's just drop this, but let's settle it where you go your way, I go my way. We don't go after each other anymore. Whatever we've spent, whatever you spent, we spent, and we're done. So my attorney asked me, he said, is that how you want it? And I said, yeah, I'm at a point where I just want to move on. I'm tired of it looming over me, even though it was still heading in our favor. And at that point, it was, we were clearly, safe and really could have gone on the offensive probably. Yep. But at the same time, I just didn't, I wanted to be, I want to rid myself of it. It was just still back there, and I was tired of it looming. So I said, yeah, let's do that. Let's just wrap it up, be done with it, sign the papers, we move on. And he's like, okay, great. And he goes, yeah, any more questions for me? And I said, yeah. What do I do with the $250,000? And he looks at me and said, well, what do you mean? What $250,000? And I said, the $250,000 that I saved in case we lost this lawsuit. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you saved $250,000? And I said, well, yeah. I what happens? I mean, I didn't know what to do if I would have lost the lawsuit. I thought I needed to have the money, just in case, right? I didn't know anything about. I mean, I was so naive back then. I didn't know anything. And he said, well, it's yours. Do what you want with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, and And that whole year, I'd been very, very lean and mean and living very frugally and running the business. I mean, as tight as we could run it.
Yep.
So I called my partner to tell him how it went, and say, hey, it's over with now and everything. And he said, hey, and anything else? And I said, yeah, that money that we had set aside, it's ours. And he's like, oh man, that's awesome. And I said, but what do you want to do with it? Do you want to split it up? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And he goes, well, what are our realistic options? I said, well, you can take your percentage. I take my percentage. We can set it in the bank. We can invest it. Or if you want, we can buy bigger, better, legit equipment. Mm-hmm. We can hit the gas and just go pedal to the metal. And he said, you know what? Let's do that. So I was all...
That was your rocket fuel.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Okay, let's go. Let's do it. And so that was a very impactful time, because I think left on our own, I don't think we would have worked as hard as we worked. I don't think we would have been as lean and mean. I don't think we would have... I know we wouldn't have saved every single penny we had to have that $250,000. We would have never had $250,000 on our own that fast.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way. And we were so... Actually, it was funny. Jimmy was really wise about it, my old partner, because he goes, listen, if we buy equipment, we can make more money and all that, but if we put it in our account and then later decide to buy equipment, we'll never want to get our hands off that money. We'll never want to give it up. Uh-huh. So let's spend it on equipment before we get used to having it.
Yep.
Because I know how it is in my family. I won't want to give it back up. So no, it was very wise of him to say that, and very true. So it's exactly what we did. But again, the point is that I would have never have had $250,000 in that short a time, and then being able to buy the equipment and be able to, capitalize on that momentum we had already had with the 600 and really it, build off of that. So
I think
it catapulted us much further ahead.
A great point, though. I think a lot of people face in their journey to wealth or success is that trial of some sort, not trial in terms of court trial, but that hard path or those obstacles that seem like everything is against you or people are trying to hurt you. Mm-hmm. And then after you've gone through it and you look back, you realize that was actually a big part of why I have succeeded now.
Well, it really is. I mean, it really is. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, these are the things that, sometimes I don't think about them really, mm-hmm. unless somebody asks me, like you ask me questions and such. And, it's not a real sexy story, but it's true.
Yep.
And I like to hear about how other people start off, and especially if it's, really, compelling or very interesting or very unique and everything, but it's interesting looking back, and a guy that I was so furious at and so resentful of, and it bothered me mentally and physically and emotionally and all that, what he had did to me, what he had done. But at the same time, I almost want to give him a hug for, triggering something or unleashing something in me that I probably couldn't have done on my own.
Yep. And
wouldn't have done on my own. And so as mad as I was, man, I mean, I owe him a big hug and a kiss because, oh my God, I mean,
yep.
Thank you for, showing me or triggering what I'm capable of. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very interesting looking back when you think in terms of that, that it's like that,
Yep. Okay, so I've got a few questions here that I kind of want to have you expand on. So from that time, say 1989 to now, right? Mm-hmm. how has your relationship with money changed over time and with success?
It's complicated, I'm sure, like for all of us, right? And it's been different things at different times. But I will tell you that I didn't start making what I would consider like money, like money,
Yeah.
right? Until I stopped worrying about money. When I worried about money, it seemed like, I'd lose $500 and I'd spend $5,000 of time, effort, and energy and focus worrying about and reverse engineering how'd that happen and what happened and agonizing over the fact that I lost $500, not being wise enough to know that I could have earned 5,000 in that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stopped worrying about money and making money, then that's when it took off. That's when I really started to just head down and work and produce, and the money came.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not exactly how I thought it would have been. But again, it's true. I was spending too much time and energy worrying about things like that, the worrying over
The dollars leaving.
Yeah, and
Or the cents leaving.
worrying about spending dollars, worrying about pennies. It just was, and it's such a hard thing because you have to get that mindset, and I didn't have that mindset originally. I didn't, and it just evolved. And I'm really grateful and glad it did. But just looking back, I'm like, silly kid. Come on, dude, you should have known better. But
Tricks are for kids.
yeah, but you, when you're in the middle of it, you don't think in terms of that, right?
Yep.
And so that was a very positive thing for me to get to that point where, and my relationship with money changed. And so, and I'm not, I don't talk about money, and I don't know. I'm not a guy that's identity has anything to do with money.
Yeah.
I'm not really that guy. I enjoy making a good living for sure, and I like certain things, but you asked about our relationship with money, but early on I needed it for a lot of reasons, to build a company, and I needed it for security, and I needed to fight lawsuits and things like that, but
Family as well.
yeah, and raise a family and all this stuff. But the truth is that you get to a point where or at least I believe, if you earn twice as much money and you double your salary, are you twice as happy? And for me, the answer is absolutely not. If I earn 5 times the amount of money, would I be 5 times as happy? And the answer again is absolutely not. I know that certain people can't say that when you're starving and when you have zero, right?
Yep.
It's a luxury to be able to say that. But after you have, your bills are paid, and you have a house, and you have, a car or two, and you are able to, sustain, yourself and such, then,
Pay for
it matters a lot less. And, it's really nice to, be able, at that point, to be able to share it with people, to be able to do things and help people and share it, because, you get a lot of enjoyment out of that. But
Yep.
I wouldn't say there's any one moment where my relationship with money changed. It was probably a lot of little moments, over time, and a lot of mistakes being made, and a lot of hopefully learning from those mistakes. But I've never really been one where I felt like my identity should be too closely tied into money. It's not really for me.
Kind of tying into that last part, one more question here. So why do you think that self-awareness is crucial to spending money well? Because a lot of people can have money, but not everybody spends money well. And I think you actually do that pretty well. You spend your money well.
Well, thank you for that. But I think there's people that would disagree with you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I think there's people that could be more responsible. I mean, you know that, that I'm a car guy, and then I my car habit and such.
Well, let me, I guess, preface it in the sense that, yes, you spend money, you'll buy a car, or you'll buy a nice watch, but it is responsibly done in the sense that you've taken care of the other things. You're not using money that would hurt your family or your ability to pay your mortgage or your child's college tuition. It's money that's excess money or money that
discretionary money.
Discretionary
right?
money.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I am saying, that you spend your money well in the sense that you've taken care of the foundations, and even things that you do spend on, those are passions that you educated yourself in, that you know a lot about, and you spend time on those things, not just money.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think my answer would be the self-awareness part that you were talking about and everything. I think one of the biggest things that I have, and I'm not sure exactly how it came about, I'm really not sure, but I have a very, very high sense of duty, and that's probably my compass, you know, for me. You know, I have a sense of duty to, you know, the company, my employees, my family, my friends, you know, that type of thing, and that's very important to me. Mm-hmm. And always has been. And I think going along with that sense of duty is that, you know, being responsible with, you know, your money and not putting your family in harm's way by letting, you know, spending irresponsibly and such.
Yeah.
But having said that, I do think, you know, people, you know, at least in my belief is that you need something other than just work. You need something other than just the grind. You know, it's very nice to have, you know, like a mental dessert, right? You know, like the car thing for me is my dessert. You know, I do the meal, I eat my vegetables during the day, and then, you know, evenings and weekends or whatever, I get my dessert. Yep. And that's the car thing for me. I think that's really what it's the having a sense of duty and understanding that that trumps everything else. That to me, you know, is, you know, being a provider, you know, for my family and for employees and things like that. And that really is most important to me, you know, much more important to me than the cars or any hobby or, you know, or any treat that I could come up with. You know, that makes me feel like me. You know, the cars are enjoyment, and don't get me wrong, they are a kick in the pants and lots of fun and things like that. But, you know, I couldn't enjoy cars or watches or anything like that. I could enjoy that if I let my family down or if I let, you know, my organization down. You know,
or if they weren't taken care of first, is kind of what I am trying to get, as that you've got all your ducks in a row, you've taken care of the people you need to take care of, and then you spend. Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't be a very good conversation. Say, sorry to my daughter, you can't go to this college, but look at how nice that car is in the garage. Isn't that nice? Don't you love that? I mean, that's just not right. You know, it wouldn't be something that I could do, and it wouldn't sit well with me, and I don't think it should. You know, my wife and I have been together, as you know, since high school, and you know, I was, you know, kind of a punk kid. Let's just call it as it is, right? And she believed in me, and she, you know, fully supported me and was there for me for, you know, I mean, still is. And there's no way I'd let her down. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, there's just no way. And I wouldn't do it over any, you know, toy or buying that. I wouldn't do that. So, you know, first and foremost, it's sense of duty, you know, to the people, to people and things that really matter.
Okay, so that's gonna help lead me to this closing aspect of this podcast, and really, it's about how we value time. And again, even with all the discretionary money and the wealth, you know better than anybody, really, you cannot use money to buy time. You cannot use money to protect other people's time to the degree that you can't prevent death. And given those constraints and just the constraints that time has on us all generally, how do you value time?
Well, Suresh, I did read your book, by the way, you know, and it is insightful. I will tell you that admittedly, I have work to do on that, because I think I value it, but I don't think I value it as well as I could. I really don't. You know, I have this, sometimes I work too much, sometimes I do this, sometimes I feel it, and you know, there's a price to pay for that, right? As you said, you don't get that time back.
Yep.
And sometimes I play games with myself and justify that, oh, well, you know, I'll just do this instead, or we'll maybe go away or for a 3-day weekend or something. But I don't always follow up with that. And I admittedly, I'd like to tell you that I'm good with it, but I'm not.
Yep.
And I'm aware of it, though. And I think and I will tell you that, you know, it's good to have a wife that wants to go on vacations and that wants to do things. And I also have a really, really great group of friends that invites us to a lot of events and a lot of get-togethers. And we very much enjoy spending time with them and doing things with them. So I'm fortunate that they're really good at that aspect, and it helps me be much better than I would be on my own. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's what it is. I guess what I'm doing is being friends with people that are much better about it than I am. So by association, I'm a little better about it.
Hey,
and that's probably it. But admittedly, I'm not very good at that.
Well, I can tell you that's probably the most genuinely honest answer that almost everyone can resonate with. And I think it's valuable for people to be able to hear somebody that has, as we initially stated, achieved his own dreams and everything beyond, and the dreams of many millions and billions of people, and yet to say that there's still work to be done. And that there's a whole nother aspect. You've succeeded with money, and there's still more about time and relationships and just being human that you have in front of you. I think just that you're willing to say that and speak that truthfully and genuinely it's valuable for me to hear. I'm sure Clay benefits, and I'm sure everyone that will listen will also resonate with that honesty.
Well, thanks. I mean, it's, you know, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed getting to hear your story and kind of go back and forth with you. And, you know, I enjoy our time in the morning at Pete's Coffee. And
as do I.
And I'm glad that you're able to kind of expand on it in this format. And I'm sure a lot of the people there will enjoy listening and seeing this video. So thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.